AITA for crewing over all the people who donated their time and money? The PTA has been planning a fundraiser for months to raise money for new cheerleader uniforms. The old uniforms are very outdated, and all the kids are excited about getting new ones, including mine. Early in the planning, I agreed that my property could be used at no cost for the event, and that I would provide all the furnishing. Other people worked hard on making items to be sold at the fundraiser. Some people spent upwards of hundreds of hours and/or dollars for the event. At a recent meeting, the football coach said the equipment was badly worn out and needed to be replaced ASAP. A vote was held, and the majority voted that this fundraiser would be for the football team instead of the cheerleaders. I insist. Football is always the top priority. I went above and beyond here specifically to help out the cheerleading team. My child and all their friends in the team got their hopes up only to be dashed. I told everyone my property would no longer be available for use, and they would need to find a new venue. People panicked and got very angry, including several people who voted against the change. They said my decision was equivalent to throwing all their hard work in the trash. I asked them how they thought the cheerleaders would feel. They said it was a vote, and I was acting like a dictator, that I can't overrule the will of the majority. I said they can do what they like, but not on my property. I know they won't be able to find a venue this late, especially not at an affordable price. I understand I screwed over my friends, burned bridges, and am likely going to be kicked off the PTA. I just can't bring myself to help them. Am I a spiteful a-hole? AITA for telling my brother he moved too fast for the outcome he ultimately wanted? My brother, 39 meters, has a daughter Piper, 15F. When Piper was 4, her mom died. My brother told Piper so much about her, and they had some special photos of her mom that were treasured. When Piper was 6, she started being teased by this girl called Nancy, 15F now. It continued on for over a year and ultimately came to a head when Nancy tore up a photo of Piper's mom that Piper brought into school for some show and tell family edition her class was doing. From that day on, Piper did not like Nancy. Because of that incident, my brother and Nancy's mom met. They became friends, and a few months after the incident where Nancy tore up the photo, they started dating and they married a year later. Piper pulled away from my brother when she found out he was dating Nancy's mom, and even more when they moved in together and got married. Nancy was actually happy and tried to get close to Piper. But Piper wanted nothing to do with that. Nancy's mom mentioned how being sisters would mend the rift, and I thought that was kind of crazy given what went down. My brother only mentioned to me recently that he really thought Piper and Nancy would be sisters and would be close by now. But Piper doesn't want anything to do with Nancy still and doesn't trust her around anything important. I told my brother that's because he moved too fast to get that kind of relationship with them. AITA and his wife started dating, and Nancy hadn't even apologized, and then Piper was still upset about who he was dating and Nancy being in her life more when they got married. I told him at no point did he try to make what happened better for Piper. He thought his marriage license would somehow erase the hurt Piper felt and the bullying Nancy put Piper through for more than a year. I said maybe IFHE had given it time, let Nancy apologize and given the girls space where they weren't living together to interact outside of school, things could have happened. But you had one child who was hurt and angry and another who was eager to have a dad and sibling after only having her mom. My brother said I expected him to let Piper dictate his life. I said no, not what I said. I said if he wanted Piper to be happy and embrace Nancy as a sibling, then he should have taken things more slowly to get that outcome. He told me it was none of my business and I was overstepping and just his little sister. AITA? AITA for wanting my sister to pay me back because my nephew lost my electric scooter? Last year I bought an eMove Cruiser electric scooter which I've since modified to add more speed, a new handlebar and some other mods. The scooter itself was not cheap, at $1,500, plus mods puts it over $2,000. I have a sister, 43F, and a nephew, 13M, who I always let house sit for me while I'm out of town on business. I have pets and plants that I need taken care of and they always welcome a change of scenery. So I had to go on a business trip last month for a week and let them house sit. My nephew has always asked me about my scooter and I told him that it isn't for kids because it's extremely fast and I've expressly forbidden him from riding IT multiple times. His mother knows about this as well. Well, I come back from my trip and my sister tells me that I'm going to be mad, but my nephew took my scooter out, left it unattended and had it stolen. I was ucking ist and asked them to leave. I told them they'd have to replace it and my sister pleaded with me. They couldn't afford it. It was a mistake and that he could just do chores around my house to pay me back. I told her that it doesn't replace my scooter. She said that any money would have to come from their vacation fund. I said, tough hit. Our parents have gotten involved and said that I'm taking it too far. They agree that my nephew should be punished and I should be paid back, but to take away their family vacation is just cruel and petty. They suggested a payment plan. I told them, hell no, that I use my scooter to commute to work often and that I wanted it back immediately. Furthermore, he was warned not to ride it since it's dangerous. Now that I've started to calm down here a little, I wonder if I'm being an a-hole here by being so demanding and potentially punishing everyone else for my nephew's mistake. AITA for falsely accusing a veteran of stolen valor when she couldn't give any details about her service. I, 34 meters, served as a captain in the Marine Corps. I have left the service, and right now I am doing ANMA. One of my classmates, 31F, who we'll call J, is very gentle, very soft-spoken and unassuming. Jay and I were working together on a case study once, and I started opening up to her about my military service and all the lessons that I've learned from the Corps. Jay enthusiastically told me, "That's so cool. I was a surface warfare officer in the Navy." I immediately felt suspicious about this claim. Aussie said, "Jay is very demure, and she doesn't really have the bravado that is required in the military environment. At least, I feel like a certain amount of bravado is required." I still humored her, and began asking about the details of her military experience, where she deployed, what courses she went through, what ship she served on, etc., etc. Suddenly Jay got all tight-lipped, and she couldn't say anything specific about military life. She kept making excuses along the lines of, "It just wasn't a good period of my life, and I'd rather not talk about it." Eventually I felt like I had done enough snooping around, and I bluntly told her that she was bullshitting, and that I'd rather not work with a phony. I talked about this experience with my friend, M, at our school's veterans organization. I told M to be wary of anything Jay says. M responded by telling me that Jay did serve, he's seen her paperwork and ID'd everything, and that in fact, one of her MBA recommendation letters was written by a retired Rear Admiral, 08, who held Jay in high regard. Whoops. The next time I met Jay, before our class started, I tried to act chummy towards her and make up for it using her of being a liar. She laughed in my face and told me to pound sand, pulley. And for those of you who don't know, yes, she was being derisive here. AITA? AITA for telling my roommate that I don't give a UCK about her boyfriend's allergies. I, 24F, have been living with my roommate Layla, 25F, for about 10 months. We have a 2-year lease, so I really want to fix this so we're not miserable for the next year, and to start I need to see if I'm in the wrong. Layla started dating Kyle about 6 months ago. Kylie has severe food allergies to shellfish, nuts and soy, as well as a lot of more mild, moderate allergies. I use nuts and soy a lot in my cooking and some occasional shrimp. At first, Layla would tell me that Kyle was coming over and I would just adjust whatever I was planning on making if it was something that would be aerosolized, mostly nuts, and this was fine. He's never had any reactions at tour apartment from my food. But it slowly escalated and now they want me to not keep any ingredient in the apartment that could cause him anaphylaxis, even if I'm not actively eating or cooking it while he's over. I've refused and they've both pushed back a lot on it, and I snapped a little and told them I don't give a UCK about his allergies. I can accommodate him to an extent, but I don't care if the contents of my cabinet make him uncomfortable. He doesn't need to be near my things at all. They're being very dramatic and insisting I'm gonna kill him with my selfishness by having closed jars of nuts in the kitchen I pay to use. But I'm not going to hobby my diet restricted by someone who doesn't even live here. Layla isn't speaking to me at all right now, and I feel a little bad now because I do understand how serious allergies are, but I also think they are overextending boundaries by telling me what I can or can't eat when he's not even here. AITA for going to work while my wife was having her appendix out? My 31 meters wife, 32F, was having a ton of really bad abdominal pain last weekend. I drove her to urgent care Saturday morning. She didn't want to go, but I basically made her. Urgent care made her go to theater where they determined that her appendix needed to come out that day. She called her mom before surgery. Her mom must have told both of my parents as well because all three, her mom and my mom and dad, ended up at the hospital to be with her during her surgery. Now, here's where the conflict lies. I was scheduled for work at 5 p.m. that night. I've just started a new job that pays well. I only started it a couple of weeks ago, so I am brand new at it. I didn't want to call in. They probably would have been cool with it given the circumstances, but I Still didn't want to do it. I didn't even have the PTO for it. I would have either had to take the day unpaid or gone negative on my PTO. So, while my wife was having the surgery, I went into work and pulled my shift. My wife is upset with me. She is accusing me of abandoning her. But I think that is unfair. She was having a completely routine surgery and she had plenty of company and support. It was unfortunate that I couldn't be there and I feel bad about it, but it's not as if I'm a surgeon and could have made a difference. I had to work, period, and I'm too new there to call in. The timing sucked, but my wife's health outcomes were the same either way. Her mother gets it and so does my father. But my mom thinks I should have called in. AITA?